Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Ryan Makes Sense, where we talk about personal finance, investing, and chart analysis. Today, I want to talk to you guys about characteristics of 10 bagger stocks. 10 bagger stocks are stocks that can go 10x. So if a stock is $1, maybe we'll see it go to 11 and beyond. We've seen that with Digital Turbine back in 2021 when it went from, well, 2020 to 2021 when it went from around a dollar to $100. We saw Renasola go from $1 to $35. Again, 10 bagger stocks. AMD went from $2 back in 2016 up to $100. Now is around 50 plus or minus. Um, so I've seen a lot of these stocks over the years. Um, you know, AMRN, Amarin. Um, there have been quite a few. So typically, what I want to see from a 10 bagger stock is number one, I think, growth. So not only growth on within the financial data, but we want to see the CEO kind of taking charge of the company, having a clear vision, what they want to do, what their goal is. With Bill Stone on Digital Turbine, there was a lot of acquisitions before the stock even went to 100. With Renasola, their goal was to become profitable. So having a good, clear goal and taking in the macro as well, the macro growth picture as well. For example, 2022, we've been in nothing but a downtrend. We've had the whole crisis overseas. Not really a good market to see stocks go 10x, but it's a really good environment to see what the potential next 10x stocks could be. So we want a clear vision. We want to see growth not only from company, the CEO, but we want to see it on the balance sheet, the income statement. We want to see assets dwarf liabilities. We want to see gross margins of 25% and above. We want to see earnings per share year over year, at astronomical 30% to 180% numbers. We want to see that kind of stuff. Those are the things that I've noticed with those companies that have gone 10x is they've had those large numbers on their on finviz.com, having the earnings per share year over year be 100% plus 1000%, having their earnings per share next year be over 50, 100, 200%. And it sounds crazy, and it's, kind of looking at what the future is going to have in the short term. So clear growth. We want shares outstanding. I'm sorry. We want the available shares, the shares float, to be under 100 million if possible. We want to see volume rising month over month. Looking at the prior months, we want to see the current month and start projecting models of, okay, well, if we're going to have 1 million volume, 5 million volume this month, next year we'll want to be around 5 million around this certain date to kind of show that, okay, momentum, strength is going in the right direction. So we want growth across the board, volume from the company, just growth, 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 growth. We also want to see no debt, little debt if possible. I know a lot of companies do utilize debt in a strategic manner, but for these high growth companies, I do like the debt to be really low. We do not want it to be a factor when I call like the whales, the people who can move the stock, I think are generally going to want to see those type of companies, have low debt or manageable debt. And I'd say under zero point 0.5 to zero debt is great. And then also having a quick ratio of 1 plus is going to be huge as well. We will see some pretty good companies have a quick ratio of zero point 0.5 and up, which I think is good as well. We want a company to, if they have to close their doors tomorrow, can they pay off any debts or liabilities. So that's a big one when determining if a stock is ripe for a potential 10x move. So we've talked about growth, we've talked about kind of where we want to see their finance, their debts. The sales could be, I've seen it like with Renasola, they had 72 million cash for a year. It's growing to 120. So that is part of it, but we also want to take in mind the pattern, the chart pattern. We saw for Renasola, that's the most recent. This was around $1 prior to the 2020 elections where Joe Biden won and, solar, weed, all the green democratic uh, products, sectors were really looking forward to a boost. And so literally Renasola, the pattern was a huge cup and handle. I saw this back in the summer of 2019. I was buying this hand over fist under $1 or at $1. It was just playing out to one big cup and handle. So that's the same as digital turbine. The pattern on the monthly chart is going to be a factor as well. The larger the pattern on the larger time frame, so the monthly chart and the yearly chart, is going to be very indicative of what the stock can do in terms of moves. We want to see a potential for the stock to go to prior highs or hitting higher highs or higher resistance levels that um, you could see the stock going past like $30 and hitting resistance around 35 and then coming back down. You want to see that and you want to take action. The stock will not go up forever because it can come back down. So history repeats itself. It's going to go up to a certain point and it's going to come back down. Always, this is even a reminder for me, always stick to your price targets. You will see resistances. If you draw lines on a monthly chart, you will see that history can repeat itself and history can touch a lot of past resistances as well. So the chart pattern is a huge one and very indicative of where the stock price could go. So we've talked financial data points a little bit. We've talked growth, sales. Yeah, because under 100 million, we've seen Renasola go from $1 to 30. So we've talked charts. Social. So you want to get into the 10 bag stocks before you see it on social media. You will see a lot of people promoting stocks. You'll see CNBC promoting stocks. By the time you've seen these promotions or people hyping these stocks up, typically the move has happened and people are ready to dump their positions, or there's maybe a little bit more room to run to allow the masses to see the gains and give them hope while people are dumping. So we want to find stocks that are not being talked about. If there is a social board like StockTwits or Yahoo Finance, whatever, Stockhouse, whatever you can think of, if there's no chatter on those boards, the better, in my opinion, just because nobody's really paying attention. So that is a good one as well. Just making sure there's not too much chatter and nobody really is paying attention. And what you are going to want to couple that with is you want to see interest from institutions or insiders. So if you can see Renaissance Technologies is one of those companies that if I see them like they're loading around when I'm loading, I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm getting in at a good price point. I've seen that with Amarin. I saw that with Digital Turbine. I don't think they took a position in Renasola, or maybe they did, but um, yeah, you want to see institutions loading. So you can find that on fintel.io. You can find hedge funds, big banking, venture capitalists, whatever. Um, those people who fund unicorns, venture capitalists, I think. I don't know. So you can find them there. And then if you go to finviz.com, you can see if insiders are loading, like directors, CEOs, CFOs, all of those C-suite people, directors, 10% owners you can see on FinViz as well. So if people are buying when you're interested and nobody is talking about it, that's generally a good sign to start loading or slowly loading and not financial advice ever. Um, so those are characteristics as well. We want to make sure the CEO and like the C-suite people are generally good people and they're not in the news for any negative press. Generally, if you just do a Google search for the C-suite people, you want to make sure, maybe they are stewards of their community, they are family-oriented people, they give to charities, they host events. Those types of things are honestly always good. This reminds me of the Beyond Meat, I think CFO or something, bit someone's nose at a game, and yeah, none of that. Forget that garbage. So, those are some good points there as well. I think a good rule of thumb is to be very, very, very cautious of biotech companies that have no revenues and are pending FDA approval. I've been burned more than I've earned. Burned more than earned. Yes. The one that put me on the map was Amarin back in 2018. That went from $3 to 28, close to a 10 bag. Well, I think it was around two. I was adding in the twos and it went to 28. So I can't claim that's a 10 bag, but I didn't get the 10 bag there. But I think those who were getting in throughout the years around the dollar were fortunate to have got that 10 bag. Amarin is also, it's a good example of a 10 bag potential coming up down the future. Um, so I do have a bunch of stocks, excuse me, that I'm watching for 10 bags. Maybe I should make a video about potential 10 bag stocks that I'm watching. That would be good. Um, but yes, so my last point, biotechs, be very aware. Don't put money you can afford to lose there. Um, and yeah, I think that covers basically the characteristics of 10 bag companies. Lowish debt, insiders buying or institutions are buying. If there is any selling, it's generally make sure see if it's like for tax purposes or scheduled. Um, we want to see assets dwarf liabilities. We want to see sales. We want to see growth, earnings per share year over year grow, next year's growth, gross margins over 30% for sure. Volume is one of those things that I don't care about on the bigger picture because generally you'll want to be buying when it's not popular or hot. And so, like with Renesola, there was like 50,000 shares or less traded a day back in 2019, early 2019 summer. So, volume is not a huge one for me, but just kind of that's your own preference and not financial advice ever. So, yeah, the chart pattern, we also want to see a chart pattern as well. So, um, yeah, I think all those things are characteristics of 10 bags. Um, I'm doing a $5 a day challenge starting in 2023. These are going to be stocks that are maybe going to be potential 10 bags, but if the stock price does go down, we feel comfortable and confident holding. So, yes, I'm excited. I think I'm starting to get some YouTube haters, which is good. Just because I never get upset about anyone's wasting their time telling me that I'm doing something wrong. I will let my actions speak. So, if you do have any opinions about what I do, I will engage with you at, till a certain extent. If I'm going back and forth with a handful of people, it might get a little tiring, but with the few people who have strong opinions, whether you disagree or agree, I'm here to talk about it. So I feel like um, you can learn bits and pieces from people, even if you don't agree with them. And people who do give you feedback, maybe what they're saying is going to help you for whatever type of reason, XYZ reason. So yeah, my channel's starting to get a little bit of traction. It's still like, um, I think some of my videos still have 1 view per video, which is funny, and some have like 100. So it's all about consistency. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me and let me chat. But I'll talk to you later and have a good one. Bye.